Welcome, everybody. Hello. Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2022. It's great to be back behind the mic. It's been a long time. It's been a couple months. Welcome to the Decision Hour. This show is all about positivity, education, learning from each other's experiences. And I am super stoked for this new year. And I'm really excited about the guests that you're going to be listening to today. I've known her via social media for a couple years, I guess, and recently had the opportunity to meet her last year at an event down in Dallas, Texas. And we recently, Heroes Media Group, recently was privileged enough to work on the audio book of her book that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. She's the CEO at A Wild Ride Called Life. She's an author. She's a podcast host. She is a United States Army veteran, a wife, a mother, and just an all-around badass, and somebody who I am grateful to call a friend. My friend, Annette Whittenberger. Annette, how are you? Good to have you on the show.
Hi, Adam. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's dive right into it. Tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Well, like you said, I'm a mom. I have an 18-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter who just recently graduated from college. So that's really exciting for me. I am a veteran and yes, military spouse of 23 years and just a regular, normal human like everyone else who deals with life struggles.
All right. Now, when you say life struggles, elaborate on that just a little bit.
I say life struggles because I think every one of us deals with some type of anxiety or depression or some kind of trauma, and we are just afraid to talk about it. And I think one of the things that I try to focus on that is it's okay. It's okay to deal with it. It's okay to have that life struggle, and we're just human.
Now, you have kind of, I don't want to say it. You talk about these struggles. You definitely help people. What is A Wild Ride Called Life? What is that?
It started out as a blog, just talking about my struggles. I was tired of living in secret, pretending that I was somebody that I wasn't. And now it's evolved into sharing everyone's struggles. I have guest bloggers on there. From that, I did create a podcast, and it's really just to show the world that PTSD, depression, anxiety, and trauma doesn't just affect veterans. It affects everyone.
Right. And you kind of help people walk through that. Listen, folks, if you're listening to this episode right now, what I want you to do, it means you're already online. Open up another browser and go to awildridecalledlife.com and check that out. Annette, you wrote a book. I'm gonna just dive right into this. You wrote a book called The Wall Between Two Lives, and it's a true story of finding purpose. And I have to say, having been a part of the audio book side of this, and when we recorded this, listening to you read it and hearing your story is very there was some hard it was hard to record and listen to at some point. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I've told you this, so everybody's gonna get first hand at this. It was a struggle for me to listen to at times because it was emotional. You can feel the emotion that you put into your words, and it was very jaw-dropping and eye-opening with some of the experiences that you share in the book. And then for you to share those experiences and then what you've accomplished throughout your life is truly amazing, because a lot of people, I think, or you hear a lot of people that may go through some similar experiences at a young age, and maybe as you're coming into adulthood, college age era, a lot of people would have given up, and you didn't. You kind of just bust open a door, and you kind of laid the base foundation for other people to really kind of follow, to get through struggles and whatnot. And now it's a passion of yours, and it's something that you help people with. So kind of elaborate more on that for us.
Yeah. So the book, it was difficult to write. I kept having doubts on whether I should be sharing so much of my life. And that's not even all of it. There are some parts that I still haven't shared just due to respect of my family, but I chose to do it because I've been seeing a lot of people struggling, and they're ashamed of their past. And I didn't want people to be ashamed of their past, because we can't let it paralyze us. And because I chose to not let it paralyze me and continue on, I wanted to help others do the same. And it's not easy. There's still days where, some days are better than others, but overall, that's what I wanted. I wanted to help people find their purpose.
Definitely something I think you have definitely done with this book. Folks, the book is called The Wall Between Two Lives, A True Story of Finding Purpose. You can find it on her website. You can also get it on Amazon as well, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
So make sure that you look at that. The audiobook is coming soon, or is probably out by now, and we'll wait and see that. So all good things. I have to ask, what was the hardest thing for you in writing this?
I wanted to make sure that my family knew that the way I was raised, I didn't want them to feel like it was their fault. And so I was very cognizant of their feelings. I spoke to them and told them, look, I'm doing this, but I don't want you to think that I'm blaming you. It's just something that I need to do. And that was my biggest concern is my family. We all have family secrets. We all have family drama, but I've always tried to respect that. And so I think that was one of the hardest things to do, is to reveal that, because I don't want people to, look at my family and say, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Because that's not, I truly believe that God, he does things for us and not to us. And so it took me many years to realize that. And so that's what I try to portray in the book.
Was this something that you just decided to wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm going to write a book? Or was this something that you've planned over the course of a few years?
Well, it did take me a year to write it. And I did almost kind of wake up and say, I want to write a book, but it didn't happen in a weekend. Right. It was like, oh my God, I want to write a book, but what am I going to say about it? Who am I going to include? Just what am I going to, what am I going to include in here in my, from my life? And it was just, it was contemplating back and forth. So it was difficult, but, and even now I look at it and say, Jesus, maybe I shouldn't have wrote that, or maybe I should have wrote that. It's never going to be perfect, but that's okay. That's why you write a second book.
I remember when we were recording and you had read us. I can't talk. Oh God, you had read a spot and then you paused and you're like, I can't believe I put that in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like I had I had to stop the recording because it was funny. And I'm sitting there like, well, you wrote the book. We had a good time recording that. Man, it was wow.
Yeah, exactly. I go through those moments where I'm like, I really said that?
Yeah.
And I did.
You are an inspiration to so many people. I see you on social media and in a lot of different veteran communities, groups and stuff like that on social media. You've networked with pretty much anybody and everybody. Big names, small names, people that are making big moves and whatnot. And I always see your name tied in with doing something somewhere, right? And it's great to see. I want to talk about you. You have a podcast. Let's talk about that. What's the name of the podcast where people can find it?
The podcast is called The Truths We Hide, and it's available everywhere.
Okay. How long have you been doing that?
Over 2 years.
And is it like a weekly show?
It is.
Okay.
Just once a week.
Once a week.
Yes.
And do you do it live or anything like that on Facebook or anything?
I am doing it live this season.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. So the podcast is called A Truth We Hide. Talk a little bit about that. What prompted that podcast? What are some of the discussions that you have there?
So yes, the title came to me because that was basically my life. The truths that I hid for so long. And I knew that I wasn't the only one. And to get people on the show was, the response was overwhelming. And it was actually like, wow, we have a community of people that have been hiding secrets and they want to reveal it now because they have overcome them or they're learning how to overcome them and they want to share that with other people. So in the beginning, it was veterans, but then I had people reach out to me and say, do we have to be military affiliated? Because I have a story. And I said, you know what? No, you don't. Let's do it. And so that's how it evolved. And it really, every guest touches my life in some way or another because it's amazing to see what people have gone through. You just never would fathom what they've gone through. You think.
Can only imagine some of the stories like, I got a secret and I wanted to bring it out. And it's like immediately I'm just like, oh boy, what? It's either one of those like this is going to be funny kind of thing. Yeah. Or it's going to be one of those jaw dropping, eye opening, like what did I just listen to?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, what? Oh my God, I need to stop complaining. It's great. It's unbelievable.
Folks, again, if you're listening to the show, open up another browser, go to awildridecalledlife.com. You can check out all of Annette's stuff. Annette, you are you're a life experience coach, right? So you walk us, for those that don't necessarily like coach, I think that word gets misconstrued sometimes. So what is a coach actually, a life experience coach does? So let's say you have one of the listeners right now is listening, they get a hold of you. And again, that website is awildridecalledlife.com and they want to work with you. What could they expect or how do you walk them through the life experience? What do you coach them on exactly?
So, yeah, that's a great question because actually I had someone reach out to me yesterday and say, okay, so you're a life experience coach. Are you certified? And I'm going to tell you this. I don't have a piece of paper. I didn't pay thousands and thousands of dollars to do coaching because of the limitations that you have. And coaches out there are amazing. That's what they want to do and they do it a certain way and that's great. I am certified in my life. Okay. And there's
yes.
four things. And I won't say I can help you with everything. I'm going to tell you that I can talk you through childhood trauma because I've been there, PTSD because I have it, depression and anxiety. So that's where life experience coaching comes from. And actually a beautiful friend, Lauren Harris, he's the one who told me, look, this is you. This is what you have to offer. And I said, you know what? I do. And if you want to work with me based off of that, then please, I welcome you. But if you don't, because I don't have a piece of paper, then that's where, that comes in. That's totally fine. So I will be upfront with you and I'll tell you, this is what I can help you with. And that's what I've done. So, I have a review. I have worked with somebody who could tell you exactly what we went through, and you can find the overall topics that we cover on my website. And that's it.
You put that so elegantly, and I love it. And Lauren Harris, such a beautiful soul there, and that gentleman there. I'm probably going to get some heat for saying this, but everybody knows me by now that's listening to the show. I really don't care. I used to feel that way about getting a degree. I was the black sheep of the family. Had any intention going to college, but I worked for a company to move that at next level. You had to have that piece of paper, and I'm glad I did. Coaching is like, I look at like coaching like that's like saying I'm a child psychologist, but I've never had kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like, okay, so you're going to talk to me about being a parent and having kids, but you've never experienced any of it yourself. So you're one of those. And listen, nothing against people that have gone to school, and I'm not saying that. This is not a dig on anybody, but there is a lot to say about somebody that's gone through and has the experience. If you got 20, 30 years of experience, if I'm comparing somebody that's like that's had a job that knows what they're talking about 20, 30 years to somebody that's fresh out of college with a degree, but the 20, 30 years doesn't have a degree, I'm looking at that 20, 30 years because that person's got experience. They know what they're doing, right?
Right.
There's a lot of added value in that I don't think people or the society as a whole, we give enough credit to. You're listening to a woman that has gone through so much in her short life that you listen to her story, you read her story, it's going to be eye-opening, going to blow your mind. And you start thinking about your life, you're like, oh. You're either going to think, it's nice to know that I'm not alone, or you're going to think, I really need to shut my mouth and stop complaining so damn much. You know what I mean? And I think what you do, Annette, and I'm not just saying this because we're friends, I honestly mean this, and I've told you this before, I think you have such an impact on the world right now. And we've had conversations offline, but your story resonates with so many people out there. And in a world that we live in today, I thank you for being brave enough to share and be transparent. More importantly, thank you for wanting to help others open up and be better.
Thank you.
A wild ride called life. Open up another browser. Go to the website. Get in touch with Annette. And if you're listening to this show and you're somebody that says, hey, you know what, I could benefit working with Annette, or I need a coach, and you're struggling with depression, PTSD, or some type of trauma, there's no one out there that I can think of right now in the world that has got the experience that she's humble. She's got great ears. She's a good listener, and she will guide you through whatever it is that you need. She's good at what she does. She's great at what she does. And she's how do I say it? She's genuine. So when you talk to her, she feels your emotions and she embraces that. And when she responds to you, you can tell that she cares. So make sure you guys reach out to her. Annette, listen, you're on a show called The Decision Hour. And we've talked about a lot of decisions already, right? We make decisions every day. But name a time in your life. Your feet are on the line right now. And you have to make that decision. What is it, and what is the atmosphere like around you when you make this decision?
So I'll tell you, when you guys get the book, you'll read a little bit about my car accident. And I was at home and I was in recovery, and I had to make a decision on whether I was going to choose to live with what my struggles were, or if I was going to suffer from them. And that was a huge decision because I always was the victim in everything. And even with the car accident, it was like, boohoo me, I have to use the wheelchair. I have to use a cane. I have to do all these things. But I had to make a decision on how I was going to spend the rest of my life, whether it was, limping all the time or whatever the case was, on how I recovered from it. And I chose to say, okay, this is it. I have this and I'm going to own it. And I'm going to not be afraid to talk about it anymore. I spent too many years wearing different masks, trying to be tougher than I was. I am still tough, but I was pretending to be somebody else. And now I'm Annette, and I live with PTSD, depression, anxiety, and childhood trauma. And I'm no longer going to let it paralyze me from what I want to do in life. And that's what I had to decide.
Love it. Annette, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on to the Decision Hour, share your experiences. Thank you. I'm blessed to have you in my life.
Thank you so much, Adam. This is so great. Thank you.
Folks, that is my dear friend Annette, a wild ride called life.com. Check it out before we let you go. Make sure you go to our sponsor, Heroes Media Group. Check out all the shows that they have over there. They got new shows coming, new year. They're also hiring. So if you're interested, email them at info@heroesmediagroup.com. That's all the time that we have today. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.